Daf Yomi, tractate Bava, page 97a, with the words Umi Amar Rav Avda. And did Rav actually say that the legal status of a Canaanite slave is like that of real estate? But doesn't Rav Daniel Bar Rav Katina say, Rav Daniel Bar Katina, say that Rav says, one who seizes another's Canaanite slave and performs labor with him is exempt from paying the master for the labor of the slave? And if it enters your mind to say that, in Rav's opinion, the legal status of a slave is like that of real estate, why is he exempt from paying? A slave, like real estate, is always in the possession of his owner, wherever he might be. Therefore, the one who seized him did not steal the slave, in which case he could simply return him. Rather, he made use of a slave belonging to another and should be liable to pay for the master's loss of the slave's labor. The Gemara answers with, what are we dealing here? We are dealing with a case where the one who seized the slave forced him to perform labor when it was not during regular working hours. Consequently, he did not prevent the slave from performing labor for his master. Since the owner did not incur any loss, the one who seized the slave is not obligated to pay for the benefit that he derived from the slave. This is like that message that Rabbi Abba sent to Mari Bar Mar. Ask Rav Huna concerning one who resides in another's courtyard without the owner's knowledge. Does he need to pay him rent? Or does he not need to pay him rent? Oh, this is Hadar b'chatzar chavero shlomidato. Okay. And they sent to him in response, he does not need to pay him rent, since the owner of the property did not incur any monetary loss. The Gemara rejects this comparison. How can these cases be compared? Granted, there is a case of a courtyard, whether the reasoning for that halacha is according to the one who says an inhabited house remains habitable, and it is therefore satisfactory for the owner of the property to have someone residing in his courtyard, or whether the reasoning is according to the one who says that since the verse states, in the city is left desolation, and the gate is smitten unto ruin, Isaiah 24:12, which indicates that a desolate house will fall into ruin, but an inhabited house will be maintained. Either way, it is satisfactory for the owner that one stay in his courtyard. Consequently, the one who resides there needs not pay rent. But here, in the case of a slave, it is satisfactory for him that his slave be weakened by performing labor for another. The sages say, indeed, it is satisfactory for him that the work habits of his slave be not undone. The Gemara records a related incident. Members of the house of Rav Yosef Bar Chama would, with his approval, seize the slaves of people who owed him money, and they would work them against the will of the owners. Rabba, the son of Rav Yosef Bar Chama, said to him, what is the reason that the master does this? In other words, seizes and uses these slaves. Rav Yosef Bar Chama said to him, as Rav Nachman said, a slave is not worth even the bread in his stomach. When the slaves work for me and eat in my home, I am not causing the owners any monetary loss. Rav Yosef Bar Chama's son said to him, I will say, Rav Nachman said this with regard to specific slaves, such as his slave Daru, who only dances among the wine barrels. Kuvi. Kubi. And someone said that their father was their grandparents from Morocco was Kubi, and does not perform any labor. All other slaves perform labor, and their labor is worth more than their reward. Rav Yosef Bar Chama said to him, I hold in accordance with the opinion of Rav Daniel, as Rav Daniel Bar of Katina says, that Rav says, one who seizes another slave and performs labor with him is exempt from paying the master for the labor of the slave. Apparently, it is satisfactory for the master that the work habits of the slave not be undone. Rabbah said to him, this statement of Rav Daniel applies when the one who seizes the slave is not owed money by the owner of the slave. But since the master is owed money by the owner of the slave, this has the appearance of interest. As Rav Yosef Bar Minyumi says, that Rav Nachman says, although the sages said that one who resides in another's courtyard without his knowledge does not need to pay him rent, if one lent money to another and then resided in the courtyard of another, in other words, that of his creditor, he needs to pay him rent to avoid the appearance of interest. Rav Yosef Bar Chama said to him, I retract my opinion and will no longer seize the slaves of my debtors. It was stated, in the case of one who seizes another's ship and performs labor with it, what payment can the ship owners claim? Wow. How much time do you have left? Okay. Rav Yosef Bar Chama Rabbah said to him, the statement of Rav Daniel applies when one who seizes the slave is not owed money by the owner of the slave. But since the master is owed money by the owner of the slave, he has the appearance of interest, as Rav Yosef Bar Numi says, that Rav Nachman says, although the sages said that one who resides in another's courtyard without his knowledge does not need to pay him rent, if one lent money to another and then resided in the courtyard of another, in other words, that of his creditor, he needs to pay him rent to avoid the appearance of interest. Rav Yosef Bar Chama said to him, I retract my opinion and will no longer seize the slaves of my debtors. It was stated, in the case of one who seizes another's ship and performs labor with it, what payment can the ship owners claim? Rav says that he may choose. If he wishes, he can take the cost of the ship's rent, and if he wishes, he can take the amount by which the value of the ship was diminished by being used for this labor, whichever amount is larger. And Shmuel says he can take only the amount by which the value of the ship was diminished. Rav Papa said they do not agree. They were addressing different cases. This, that is Rav's statement, is referring to a ship that is commonly available for rental. That is Shmuel's statement, is referring to a ship that is not commonly available for rental. And if you wish, say, this and that statement are both referring to a ship that is commonly available for rental. This, Rav's statement, is referring to a case where the one who sees the ship descended, that is, took possession with intention of renting the ship, he pays for the rental. That, Shmuel's statement, is referring to a case where the one who sees the ship descended with the intention of robbery to use it without paying. He is regarded as a robber and pays only the amount which its value was diminished. The Mishnah teaches if one robbed another of a coin and then it cracked, he pays the value of the coin at the time of the robbery as he has acquired it due to its change. But if the coin was invalidated, he says that which is yours is before you. Since this is not a significant change, he has not acquired it. The sages disagree with regard to the explanation of this halacha. Rav Huna says when the Mishnah states that the coin cracked, it means that it actually cracked. When it says that the coin was invalidated, it means that it was invalidated by the government and is therefore unfit to use. And Rav Yehuda says a coin invalidated by the government is the same as a coin that is cracked, because its complete loss of value is a significant change. But what are the circumstances of the Mishnah in which a coin that was invalidated is not considered change? It is a case where a coin was invalidated by the government in this province and the residents can no longer use it, but the coin will still circulate and is in use in another province. The Gemara clarifies Rav Huna's opinion. Rav Chizah says to Rav Huna, according to your opinion, that you said that the term invalidated means as the coin was invalidated by the government, and the Mishnah rules that in that case the robber can return it as is, there's a difficulty. But what are the cases of the Mishnah? If one who robbed another of produce and it rotted, or one who robbed another of wine and it fermented, which are similar, to a coin that was invalidated by the government, since none of these items are fit for use, and the Mishnah teaches that the robber pays according to their value at the time of the robbery because they underwent a change. Why would the halacha be different in the case of a coin that was invalidated by the government? Rav Huna said to him, there in the cases of produce and wine, its taste and its smell changed. Here in the case of the coin that was invalidated, the coin itself did not change. The Gemara clarifies Rav Yehuda's opinion. Rava said to Rav Yehuda, according to your opinion, that you said that a coin was invalidated by the government is the same as one that is cracked, and the Mishnah rules that in that case the robber pays according to its value at the time of the robbery. There's difficulty. But what of the case in the Mishnah when one robbed another of truma and it became impure, which is similar to a coin that was invalidated by the government, and the Mishnah teaches that the robber says to the robbery victim, that which is yours is before you. Rav Yehuda said to them, there is a case of truma, no damage is evident, since it is impossible to tell the difference between pure and impure items. Here, in the case of the coin, the damage is evident, since one can tell by looking at it that it is the type of coin that was invalidated. With regard to a coin that was invalidated, it was stated that there was a dispute concerning the question. In the case of one who lends money to another on the condition that he repay the loan using a particular kind of coin, and that coin becomes invalidated, Rav says, spoiler alert, The debtor gives him a coin that is in circulation at the time. So we went on just to finish the thought, which he repays the loan. Shmuel says that the debtor can say to the creditor, I am giving you a coin like the one you gave me, although you cannot utilize it here. Go spend it in Meishon. Okay, we'll stop here.